Joining me now is Morgan Harper. She is running in Ohio's 3rd District for Congress against the Democratic incumbent. She has just been endorsed by the Just Democrats. Morgan, welcome to the Young Turks.
Hi, nice to be here.
Great to have you. So, Just Democrat, that means you're uncorrupted, no corporate PAC money, right?
That's exactly right. No corporate PAC money, no money from employees of payday lenders, firearm manufacturers, and registered lobbyists. So I'm unbought and unbossed.
A New York Times reporter today seemed kind of puzzled as to why Just Democrats would endorse anyone against an African-American incumbent, leaving out the fact that you're African-American. So I'm curious.
That little fact.
Yes, I know how I took that, but I'm curious how you took that.
Yeah, to me, I mean, this is nothing new for me. I am used to people making assumptions based on my appearance or ignorance or lack of understanding. It's old school thinking that's meant to divide us and keep us not focused on the key issues, which are helping Black people get ahead. And honestly, I don't have time for these conversations. There's too much to get done.
But we do have to talk about your opponent a little bit. So I want to get to your story because it's incredibly compelling, and I want to know why you're running, et cetera. But people sometimes say, well, why bother running against the Democratic incumbent? But in 4 terms, that's just 8 years, she's taken $2 million in corporate donations. I'm worried that influences her way of thinking. Are you worried about that?
Well, I think we know how the world works, right? I mean, people who give you money can influence your thinking. I think we have corporations right now in our country that have a disproportionate influence on policymaking. And that's why I think it's really important to have people running. And that's why I made the commitment to run free of corporate PAC money, because I want to be free to put the people first and do and make decisions that will benefit all of us ahead of corporations.
Yeah, that makes sense. So Morgan, let's talk about your life story a little bit so people get to know you. So you're from this district, you were born there, right?
Yeah, I was actually born at the Ohio State University Hospital, which is in the district. I was given up for adoption. I lived in a foster home for 9 months before being raised on the east side of Columbus by my mom, who was a Columbus City School teacher and lifelong educator. So, we had financial struggles early in my life that showed me how quickly things can unravel and how important it is that we have supports for families to ensure that we can all get by. So, this race for me is very personal. My commitment to a career in public policy is very much about understanding what it takes for people to get ahead. And it's not complicated. We know what those things are. Money, housing, jobs that are going to pay you enough to live and support a family. So I'm deeply committed to those things. And I wasn't feeling like we had leaders that were putting working people ahead of other corporate interests and fighting with the urgency that we need to make this country work for everyone.
One more thing about your personal life before we move on to your politics. I'm also going to ask about lessons learned, but so do I understand right? Your mom was a single mom and she adopted you.
Yeah, so actually I was adopted when my parents were married, but my parents divorced when I was very, very young. And so I was raised by my mom, and she supported us entirely on her own financially.
Part of the reason that I asked about that, because you wound up going to Tufts undergrad. We have first of all, a soft spot for Tufts. My co-founder Ben Mankiewicz went there, our managing editor went there, our head of marketing went there. So we're all about the jumbos here.
Go Jumbo!
But then you also went to Princeton, you also went to Stanford. And so ironically, the right wing would hold you up and go, well, here's a person largely raised by a single mom and she went to all these amazing schools and did these amazing things. So I guess we don't need to help anyone. What's your answer to that?
Bonkers. My answer to that is absolutely bonkers. I mean, I'm a fluke. Of course, I've worked very hard, but this is chance, this is random. And especially for people I think that are adopted, they understand that very early in life, that a lot of what happens to us is just based on circumstance, right? And that's always been crazy to me. We need a country that isn't based on the fact that you need to be superhuman to get by, that we build it from the start in a systemic way, that everyone can get ahead, and that you don't have to have these exceptions become the rule for policy making and how our country works. It's absolutely absurd to think that that would be the takeaway from my story. absurd.
I used to talk about that on the show, and Ben, the guy that I referred to earlier, who was my co-host, would say, look, you use your dad as an example back when I was more conservative, but your dad's kind of extraordinary. So that's not necessarily a fair standard. And plus, when you listen to my dad's story, and I interviewed him for a long time here, he got the help of a lot of people, because it is impossible to do it on your own. It's mythology. And unlike Paul Ryan, who, for example, got help from Social Security when his dad passed away to go to college and then wanted to cut Social Security.
Right.
The sense I got from your story was that, all these different people, obviously predominantly your mom most of all, but helped you. And instead of burning the bridge under you, you'd like to build it so other people can cross it.
Exactly. No, I mean, it clicked for me really early on. I received financial aid starting at age 10 to get into a private school that gave me the resources to understand what it takes to have a life of opportunity and get to these other schools. I still remember walking into that private school environment and hearing for the first time, the fish tank bubbling, that you could hear that in the science classroom. And the prior school that I had been in, sometimes we had science books, sometimes we didn't. So for me, it clicked very early on that, wow, I happened to get this scholarship, but what if I hadn't? And that was just okay. Everybody would be fine, that I wasn't gonna have the same level of education because my parents weren't rich. That was never acceptable to me.
And if you hadn't gone to that high school, you might not have even known that the other opportunities were available.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Exactly. Yeah.
And so.
And it really. Oh no, sorry. Go ahead.
No, go ahead. Go ahead, Maury.
Well, I was going to say. I mean, again, we have to get away from this like effort narrative that it's just some people are working hard and some people aren't. No, absolutely not. I mean, we know that there are people in these environments. We see it at work. We see it at different professional environments that once you're on the path to success in this country, then everything pretty much keeps becoming easier and easier for you. And if you're born poor, we have built a society that makes it very comfortable for you to stay that way, and that is not okay. And there is something that we can do about it, and we have to do something about it right now.
And so, hence you're running for Congress. So let's talk about what you would do. Obviously, you were motivated enough to try to do this amazing thing and take down an incumbent, et cetera. So what is it that you want to get accomplished?
Yeah, I mean, what I want to get accomplished is one, first and foremost, representing people ahead of corporations. I think we have to disentangle the relationship of money in our politics and policymaking. And so my race is a statement to make sure that is absolutely a principle and a standard that we have for every politician. And so, in my platform too, I am fighting for the policies that I think will support working families, healthcare, Medicare for all, Green New Deal, free public college, the building blocks of life that all people deserve and every person in this country is entitled to. So, that's my platform. That's what I'm fighting for in Congress. I'm gonna work on that every single day for the people of the 3rd District of Ohio. And that's why I'm running. So
I'm animated by those things as well, but I didn't run for office. What made you think to run for office?
I just couldn't take it anymore, I mean, so based on the early experiences that I had, I have been building a career really trying to get at the issues of inequality that, I observed early on in my life. And I've done all the things, right? I went to public policy school, I went to law school, I worked at the Consumer Financial Protection Bureau, an amazing federal agency at that time that had a strong mandate to protect working people, and was able to do that. $12 billion back to 28 million consumers. And really a testament to what's possible when we get rid of this fallacy that the federal government is not meant to serve us, and we give it the mandate and resources to actually serve working people and protect them from corporations that may be looking to take advantage of them. So, I did that. I saw that. I worked at, a community development organization, LISC, and realized that while local work is important, we actually know that for the issues that we're talking about, healthcare, the environment, these are systemic issues that were systemically created through policy that does not serve us. And it's going to take people in Congress that are fighting for the policy solutions to actually address them. So, that's why I decided it had to be Congress. It had to be federal office, because that's the only body of government right now where we have the resources to actually move the needle on Medicare for all, Green New Deal, free public college, and give working people the resources to get ahead.
It reminds me a little bit of Katie Porter's story. She studied under Elizabeth Warren. You were at the Consumer Financial Protection Bureau. So maybe you could be part of Katie Porter's squad. Or she could be part of your squad. I don't know. Or you know what? I got a great idea. Why don't we all work together?
Yeah, or maybe all of Congress could be productive, and then that's a good wish too.
Wow, wouldn't that be amazing if they actually tried to pass bills?
Yeah.
So actually, that leads to the last thing, because there's this conspiracy out there that the Just Democrats put you up to this, and they're I don't even want to get into the rest of the nonsense. But you actually started your campaign earlier and just got the endorsement of Just Democrats on Wednesday, so yesterday.
Yesterday, yeah,
right?
yeah.
So did they have anything to do with you conspiring to try to become a congressperson?
You know what's really crazy is until someone suggested that, I guess I didn't fully appreciate how crazy people might perceive it to be that I just came up with this on my own. But absolutely true that no one put me up to this. I just got to that point where I felt like this was what was necessary. More people fighting at the federal level where it's necessary to take on systemic issues, and decided I was gonna do it. If I didn't see anybody else doing it, I was gonna do it. But yeah, as crazy as it might be to believe, though, I think people that know me well weren't all that surprised. No one put me up to this. I just hatched this on my own.
No, because
but I am grateful for the Justice Dems endorsement and really excited to be part of this cohort of grassroots candidates.
100%, 100%. Yeah, but I love the right wing and corporate Democratic conspiracies. They're like, there's this group that actually wants to get legislation passed, and they're putting people up to actually doing it.
Right.
Right. First of all, there's nothing wrong with that, and second of all, in this case, it's just not the case. And I know for a fact how it happened, and I know that you're such a compelling candidate. They're like, whoa, I mean, that'd be weird if we didn't endorse her, right?
Right.
And so anyway, I'm super excited about your candidacy. Everybody, you got to check out morganharper.org. Find out all about the issues for uncorrupted candidates. Donations are super important because they're not taking corporate PAC money, they're not taking the big business money, and then volunteering as well. That's made a huge difference in the AOC race and so many others, and it could make a huge difference in Morgan's race. And
Morganize with us. Hashtag Morganize.
I love it, Morganize. Yeah. Okay, that's the volunteering. Get it? Yeah. That's the kind of stuff that I love.
I saw what you did there. That was cool. That was great. Yeah.
Okay, so morganharper.org. Let's get more Just Democrats. Let's get more strong progressives in the Congress so we can actually get things done. Morgan, thank you so much for joining us on the Young Turks.
Thank you, I really appreciate it. Thanks so much.
The TYT Plus app is now available on iOS and Android. Download to get more TYT content at tyt.com/app.